But on bonfire night, we were there with burning torches and long robes and hoods on, and there was families and dog walkers releasing fireworks.
The Ludlow locals loved you, mate. I would go to like the Ludlow Food Centre with my daughter. Back in the day when I was still driving up there to see her. Now she just comes down to where I live.
Yeah.
I mean, you wear a DSI T-shirt or something, and people look like they're gonna, take one of those fucking turnips and stab you to death with it.
The best was when we did the actual performance part, because when we actually came to filming the drums, obviously James is playing the drums just in this abandoned quarry while people are walking their dogs. And
there was a lot of people there was a lot of people on the far hills and the far sort of horizon line with dogs and leads just suddenly stop and look over going, what the fuck is going on over there?
Greetings, friends, and welcome to episode 206 of Into the Necrosphere. This week, the great Dave Powell and John Wilcox of Master's Call join me on the podcast to talk about their brand new record, A Journey for the Damned. It has been some 3 years in the making, maybe even a little bit longer, but we did a track-by-track breakdown of that. They explained why it took so goddamn long for this thing to come out, and much, much more. John was on the podcast way back on episode 38, and I've been excited about the Master's Call debut ever since. I can tell you right now, it absolutely does not disappoint now that it is finally out and available for all to hear. Speaking of debuts, any card-carrying member of the Legion should be well aware by now that the band Werewolves is rather liked around these parts. And so when the three gentlemen who make up that outfit mentioned this past weekend that they have recently launched a brand new black metal band called Faustian, I was rather excited. Their debut record is called We Come As Angels, and you're about to get a little taste of it right now. You just listened to a track called The Left Hand Side. The band is Faustian. It features all three men who make up the band Werewolves. You can check out their debut record, We Come As Angels, right now on Bandcamp. I think at the time of me recording this, it's not yet out on the streaming sites, but it will be shortly. Criminally, this was not picked up by a label, but trust me when I say, if you like Werewolves and you like Marduk, this is an album you absolutely have to check out. It is sensational. It is certainly not the last time you're going to hear about, or you're going to hear the music or about the band on the show. So, my friends, if you're new to this podcast and you like what you've heard so far, then make sure that you elbow drop the subscribe button on your platform of choice, be that Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Apple. Leave me a 5-star review, especially on Spotify. It helps me hack that algorithm. And if you really love and support the show, you can follow me on the socials. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and you can also head over to the Into the Necrosphere Teespring store and pick yourself out a t-shirt or a hoodie or whatever else catches your fancy. And then, very importantly, you should also note that I'm a member of the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse, the Podcasting Illuminati, some have called us, and we kick your week off every Monday with a fresh episode of Horror Wolf 666, hosted by the inimitable Brandon Legion. On a Tuesday, yours truly casts hexes and slays poses on Into the Necrosphere. I have only got 2 more episodes, including this one, until I am signing off for 2023, and then you'll see me back again probably around the middle of January next year. Next week's guest to be confirmed, but if it is who I think it is, he is a Necrosphere, a Legion favorite, and you guys are going to thoroughly enjoy that episode. But make sure that you are back here next week for that one, regardless of who I'm talking to. On a Wednesday, Sensei Mike Hill brings you another episode of Everything Went Black, and he returns on a Thursday with Necromaniacs, alongside his co-hosts Sheriff Mike Scondado and Professor Jeff Kashid. They review new and old horror movies, one of my favorite shows of the week, and one that you absolutely need to have as a permanent fixture in your listening queue. Also on a Thursday and on a Sunday, the sinister minister Carl Hikara brings you a journey into the weird, the arcane, and esoteric with his podcast Soul Knocks, and then rounding it all out is our brother from another mother, Cheyenne of the band Trivax, skulking in the shadows, thumbing his nose at convention and regularity, and dropping an episode of his podcast, Iblis Manifestations, when you least expect it. He's been on an absolute tear when it comes to some of his guests of late. So if you're not subscribed to that one yet, then make sure that you change that right quick. One final reminder, when the end of the interview sounds, don't go anywhere, because you have a fully throated installment of my weekly news rant coming your way. For those of you guys that stick around for that, you already know what to expect. For those that don't, it is basically me pouring through the news headlines on Metal Storm. Sometimes we check out We Are the Pit. We also check out the Democrats' Guide to Rock Music, Blabbermouth. We listen to and react to new music. I give you my take on some of the metal news headlines that are not music related, and we have us a grand old time. So lots of good things coming your way in this episode, but it all starts with John Wilcox and Dave Powell of Master's Call. I had Aaron from My Dying Bride on here a couple of weeks ago, and the StreamYard had changed the microphone without me realizing it. So I record the whole episode, you know, great conversation. I love Paradise Lost. So, you know, to be able to, did I say Aaron from My Dying Bride or Aaron from Paradise Lost? Well, okay, I take that back. It's from Paradise Lost. So, what's saying, you know, I have the whole conversation's done. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is going to be great. People are going to love it. Listen back to it, and it sounds like I'm sitting inside of a fucking, you know, Portaloo at a festival.
A tunnel.
Yeah, so I wasn't all that keen on that. But anyway, the important thing is we're here to talk about Master's Call finally.
Yeah. Brother, it's been like, you know, how long we've been talking about this, so finally.
Yeah, well, I mean, so here's the thing. Before we get started about anything, we got us a fucking mystery to solve, mate, because where on earth did you disappear to?
Well, me?
Yes.
The band or me?
You were, okay, so you were on Into the Necrosphere on episode 38.
Yeah.
I was all excited, like, yeah.
During lockdown, that was.
It was, yeah.
I gotta wait for the next Master's Call album to drop. I've been the band as like one of the great unsigned heroes of the metal underground in the UK, and you just disappeared. But what happened?
Well, that's we put you look. If you haven't, obviously you've seen on social media and what's coming out and stuff like that. The writing of the songs, the music videos has took an absolute toll on us. By the way, one more is coming out this Friday for the album launch, so get ready because the third one is coming out this Friday.
Oh, very cool. And what will that be for?
For Damnation's Black Winds, one of the songs off the album.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, we like Dave's going to tell you in a sec as well. We've literally been hell for leather, haven't we? For like the merch, the artwork, the signing, the videos. Like it has been. There's a thing that some people say when somebody goes quiet or people go quiet in a band, it means there's a lot going on. So
yeah, for us it was losing 3 vocalists
and that as well. Yeah,
and the bassist as well.
Losing members and fucking getting on with it. So.
Yeah, so you lost a guitarist, and then
we lost me as a guitarist. Now I'm singing. Yeah,
you didn't see your way clear to play guitar and do vocals.
Yeah, I did for a few shows, but Master's Call as a live performance needs a 5-piece for the dramatics. But there was a time, look, you probably already know, but in Germany, we've done it at Motorhead as a 3-piece. So we can go all the way down to a 3-piece if we fucking need to.
We make it work.
You can scale up and down when...
Yeah, we've already done the scaling and up and down massively. So, but it's getting everything together and right. So, yeah.
So take me through the journey. I mean, I think, first of all, how did they finally land on you? Did you just keep on playing? Every time you lose a vocalist, you come in and you play a Funeral Throne track and go, no, the guy who's vocaling on that is awesome.
No. But look, I've said it a million times, and me and Dave have always said it. Like when me and Dave started writing the Master's Call stuff, it was always me and Dave. It started off as me and Dave, and all the demos and everything like that. The core idea came from me and Dave. Like Dave was in Necrotize, I was in Funeral Throne, we'd done previous bands, and then it was always, we connected there, and it was always something that we wanted to, write music together. But the good thing about it is we have all the working mechanics there to carry on with whatever difficulty comes along. So as well as all the demos, when previous people were in the band either singing or whatever, all of the demo music was written by me and Dave, and then I demoed the vocals on top, which made the character of the songs. So when it came down to right, I've had a fucking enough, I'm not changing the singer anymore, all the demo stuff, it sounded like Master's Call anyway. I was
about to say, you kind of already had a connection with the music. You had a connection with the lyrics.
Well, I'd already sent you, Jackie. I'd already give you little snippets of some of the demos.
True.
Just little cheeky snippets of the demo stuff and like what it sounded like. So when it came to the point where it was like, right, we can't change the front man anymore because it's kind of too detrimental to the whole thing. It was like, right, let's find another guitar player. And we got one of my best friends, Bear, in from the Funeral Throne days. And he's a wicked guitar player. And I just went, fuck it, right. This is the change that needs to be made. So get ready for the fucking album.
So what period of time would you say, roughly speaking, was this album actually written across? Because I got demo stuff from you like as early as, I think, 2020, 2021 maybe.
Sure.
And then, you would kind of, again, you would sort of, you'd send me something, listen to this. I'm like, oh, fuck yes, next week is the announcement.
Yeah, that's typical.
You disappear for 6 months?
Honestly, it was like we did not see these moments in the band's history coming at all. We were like, we had the people, we had the sort of, the connection and everything like that. And we wanted to make everything come out fucking next week. We wanted everything to go, and then all of a sudden it was like this and this. But it's made us, just before Dave carries on, to me it's made us absolutely stronger in the sense of getting over issues and still performing and going abroad and everything like that. We have the tools to just keep this train rolling. So
yeah, you've been through the fire, and so certain situations you might find yourself in, you can kind of look at it and go, well, look, we've already been here. We know how to deal with this, or we know how to work around this.
Well, Dave will give you the length of time on some of the songs.
Well, put it this way: there's at least 2 tracks on the album that were written in probably by about 2015. Well, in fact, we even played at our very first gig.
Yeah, we've got songs that we played at our very first gig that were album songs and before the actual EP. So,
well, we the first track and the last track off the album, we always said we wanted to be the first track and the last track, but we didn't want to put them on the EP like that.
No.
We wanted to save them for the album. So it's been a very long wait for them to finally appear on the album.
That's it, though. We always wanted those 2 tracks, the first one and the last one, as they when we writ them, they all of a sudden, it was like when we wrote Pathways and All Up in Fire, it was like, that's the first one, that's the last one. And it didn't warrant it for the EP, because the EP tracks were like, well, I've said this to you before, the EP tracks kind of set the benchmark for us musically, especially like we've said it in multiple interviews with like the songs like the Spire Cranes. I'm so glad that we writ the Spire Cranes as one of the first songs ever.
It was the first song.
It was the first song that me and Dave ever wrote for Master's Call, and it set the benchmark for the choruses and everything. It really sort of, unbeknownst to us, it was all of a sudden, it was like, shit, we have a kind of sound that's also.
I say it broke a few rules as well, because we were at the time, we were like, let's just write extreme shit, black metal, death metal.
And
it's like, there's a chorus, it's like, this sounds wrong, but massive, I like it.
But massive at the same time. All of a sudden, so that,
There's definitely in some of these new songs. I mean, so 2 things I would say. One, you mentioning how old some of these songs are. I think one of my observations of hearing the new music is, kind of how polished the material feels. It doesn't feel like the material that a band, really putting their first full-length debut record out would.
We've been lucky with people that have, who we're mixing and mastering it with, and us and everything. We've been lucky and good.
Well, I mean, I think you can mix and master over the cracks of something like that, or not even over the cracks, or over the rough edges to a certain point. But I mean, this music feels like it's drilled into the band. Like you get a real sense of.
So you're feeling the sound of it.
And the style.
Yeah, 100%. Like you feel the comfort that the band has with the material, and like how natural it comes to you guys when you play it. So there's that. Now I've lost my train of thought on the second point that I wanted to make. So we'll dwell on the first bit that I said there. I mean, it must be really vindicating and come to you guys as a real relief to be able to put this out, and the response is really positive. People really seem to be embracing this.
Absolutely. The wait for this is. It's been, as you know, it's been massive, and it does feel good that it's finally out. And it's obviously even better when people are responding positively to it, especially because we've been hearing these songs so long now that we're sick of it. So it's refreshing to hear people like praising it. It's like, oh yeah, there was a time when we were like that.
I think, like you say, sick of it, but at the same time,
not exactly sick of it.
No, I know, but
very used to it is what I mean.
But at the same time, we we have to look from the outside looking in. To us, it's like we've been playing the songs constantly. It's like you go to rehearsal, you record them. And we're still playing the same songs, but from the outside looking in, considering the member changes and especially the vocal changes and stuff like that, it's kind of very different now. And I don't know. I've said to you, it always comes back to, I'm glad that we've done the demos and the ideas where it was us writing all the guitar riffs and doing the drums, and then me demoing the vocals, because kind of in a slight way all along we already captured the Master's Call sound with the vocals and the ideas, and now it's kind of like we tried everything. Me and Dave had a good rapport in the sense of 2 guitarists, what we always wanted, but there was always this little kind of defining factor that lent back towards the demos when it was like, once we captured the core sound of like either, you know, I'd write the lyrics and put the vocals down and the ideas, it was like, there's the sound. So the sound just literally comes from here.
Yeah.
But to some degree, with the demoing the vocals like that, is that we were also at the time considering a different vocalist. So it's like, you know,
they had the job of learning what I put down. So,
but also within their range, so you couldn't really go to town on what you couldn't really go beyond the sound that they can do. For example,
yeah. Well, some people could do what they do naturally, and it did create a good sound and whatnot. But there was always this kind of, and I'm only speaking from myself, there was always this kind of little fragment that was like, you know, there's a bit more there. So to be totally honest, even with all of the struggles and everything that we've done, we still managed to play live, and we've got to this point where, you know, I feel like it's the natural and right way for this band to perform and sound.
Yeah, about to say, it feels like the definitive lineup. And again, like what I was touching on earlier, the music sounds like it's drilled into you guys in the best possible way.
Thank you.
But John, how does it feel? I don't know how many shows you guys have played with this lineup now, but how does it feel for you putting the guitar down and not having that on stage? Because the observation I've made of people, so you can look at somebody like David Vincent, and I know I've mentioned this before, so I know some people don't agree with me on this, but when you look at him play with Ultimass and it's just him standing on stage, he doesn't have a bass, he feels to me to be a little lost on stage. A lot of people, I remember Glenn Benton doing vocals for Vital Remains, and him standing on stage doing, I don't know how many shows.
In the whole suit of leather armor.
Yeah, exactly. And it just...
That works. That worked fine.
He sounded cool, but he just seemed a bit lost. And I understand that, because if you're so used to a certain positioning on stage, you're used to a certain look that you're projecting on stage, to kind of have to put the weapon down is a bit weird. Yeah, 100%. How does it feel to you?
Well, I'll be totally honest. I went through a lot of years when I was just singing and playing guitar in Funeral Throne, and it was like, there was probably a younger age, and there was a lot of years where that was my kind of shield from the crowd. Even in between songs, trying to say, you know, speak to the crowd or work yourself out. And then obviously I was playing guitar along with Dave in this band, and it was like I still play guitar, still write riffs, we still write the music. It's a funny thing, because people still turn around now and going, oh, you know, do you play guitar anymore? It's like, yes, I've been playing for like
I quit as soon as I picked up my new instrument, the microphone.
As soon as I picked up the mic, I just buried the guitar. You know what I mean? I paid $1,200 for the fucking guitar and buried it. Anyway, but yeah,
it's over now.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. But no, we still like you know, write the riffs. But the thing was, for me, I remember the first few shows, I needed it was not difficult, but it was like very conscious. I remember the very first show we played when I came walking out, and I was that was Birmingham. What was it?
That was that Hard Rock Hell one.
There you go. It was Hard Rock Hell.
It was a Hammerfest. That was it. It was
Hammerfest in Birmingham.
One of those was the same.
And that was it. And it was the first time I was going to walk out on stage, like genuinely do a whole set and not have my guitar, and sort of I put all of the mask and the hood on and the makeup and everything, and I had to find the point where I sort of turned over, you click in your head, and I couldn't quite find it on that first one. So like Dave will tell you, and the rest of the guys, it was kind of funny, because just before the intro was playing and I was about to walk out, I was shitting myself.
You were bricking it in the dressing room.
Yeah, I was marching around, Jackie, like a fucking maniac, and I was down in the beers just going, right, I've got to get my fucking head around this. But then, to be totally honest, now, these days, if we talk about from the first show to now, the last show in Leeds, I was jumping off the stage, and anybody that looked like they were enjoying it or getting into it, I wanted them to come forward. So I jumped off the stage and I was grabbing T-shirts and just dragging them towards the front. I genuinely very much enjoy the everything that I sort of save up through the week, all the fucking hate and everything else, save up through the week. As soon as I get the mask and the makeup on, I can let it all out. So I'm very comfortable now, completely comfortable, which is like, you know, it's cool.
Out of interest, who are, you know, like instrumentless frontmen that you particularly admire, you know, whose crowd work you think is great, you know, who kind of exude that right kind of vibe on stage? Because again, I think it's a pretty unique skill set. I really do. And I think when I watch bands nowadays, I often feel like some of that, especially from black metal and from death metal, is less from death metal, more from black metal is missing. You know, there's some guys that can pull off being sullen and, you know, standing with theatrical stuff around them. Like Attila can do it very well. I think Mortus does it extremely well. You know, and there's a couple of other guys.
He's just a singer, though. He's just a singer with it. You mentioned, you mentioned,
and that's what I mean. So singer without an instrument. I'm curious, like, you know, who the guys that you look to, and it doesn't have to be in black metal. Like,
are you asking me just without a guitar and just singing?
Yeah. Yeah, what guys kind of cut the right or project the right image? You know, they
not many, to be honest.
Have the art nailed down.
I'll be totally honest with you, not many, because I've come from a background where I spent many years, many. I mean, even Dave, when he was in Necrotize, you never used to do backing vocals or anything like that. And then Dave's kind of like, you know, and as well as Bear when he was playing in Funeral Throne, he never used to do any backing vocals and play guitar. And in this band, we got to the point where everybody's doing backing vocals and playing. Everybody's culminating to the point. So it's been a big learning curve. But at the same time, you ask me who, like, individual singers, not many, to be honest. I can't really picture it. I picture people that play guitar and get off the microphone and move and sing, and sort of you can see it coming naturally to them. So I can't really name anybody that's just a soul singer, because I've come from the background of not being just a singer. So that's why nowadays, like when I switch and turn over and it's my new identity on stage, like now I can completely enjoy the process, and like there's no holds barred. It's just go for it. So yeah.
Funnily enough, I would say somebody who comes to mind who I find quite hypnotic is the singer from Gaeria.
Oh yeah,
and I've seen him with the guitar and without the guitar.
I've not seen them live actually, but yeah, I can.
He's quite hypnotic to look at, and
very theatrical in his hand movements.
Yeah, but the way he moves, he's like some kind of ragdoll type thing. I don't know what he is, but he seems to do it with the guitar or without the guitar in the same set, and it's like. Yeah. Oh, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it does come down to the specifics of their music though, and like the difference and stuff. And we like, you know, I'm just speaking for myself. We have to embrace like our projection of our music. And the thing is, it's like it's very anthemic in parts, very anthemic, very brutal in parts. But at the same time, there is this. I'm going to use the name now. There is this very Niflheim-esque part about it, in complete sort of sudden chaotic parts, you know. So I kind of really enjoy like embracing the very sort of anthemic parts, embracing the very, very brutal parts, and then embracing, you know, the other parts as well.
Old school attitude.
Yeah, because like now that I haven't got, you know, we've done gigs where I have a guitar in front of me. We've done it as a 4-piece, we've done it as a 3-piece, like completely Motorhead Venom style. And got on with it, like, you know,
midnight.
Midnight, that shit. But at the same time as well, when I get a chance to, I can fully embrace, and the rest of the guys, like, it all comes together as well, because it deserves being a 5-piece. But I understand your question as well. It's very difficult, but like, you know, it feels like the completely natural way now. Completely.
It's especially tough when you've got songs that have, you know, lengthy instrumental parts in and things like that. As a singer, not essentially participating during those sequences, like, you know, I've often looked at someone like Satyr, for example, with Satyricon. It's like, you know, you play a song.
What are you going to do?
There's about 4 minutes worth of you just fucking standing there like an idiot, you know. So I'm very fascinated by the art of performance, you know, whether you're a guitarist, whether you're a singer. I look at it from the perspective of the band as well. Like you guys were just talking about, having, multiple guys on stage doing backing vocals. I've always loved that because I think it just, I think visually it creates such a
attack,
powerful image. Yeah, exactly. It's this unified, like almost gang mentality.
Well,
you get that a lot with hardcore bands, but like you don't really get that with black metal bands so much. And when they do it and they do it well, it's so special because it, as I said, because it's so unique relative to the rest of the scene.
We were. It's funny you should mention that because, like, I took a few short videos of like the last rehearsal we were doing, and like Dave and Bear, both guitarists, and me on certain points of the songs. It just we hadn't had a rehearsal in a little while, and then this new fresh rehearsal that we had only like what day was it? Saturday. Anyway, a couple of days ago. We were doing it and everything felt like all the backing vocals. I actually laughed halfway through a song just going, holy shit, man, that was like a serious attack. Like, you know, Friday is going to be great. But you know, I completely understand what you're saying. And it's with the amount of time, it's one of those things. I'm fully embracing the kind of the front man having the jobs to do in between, but even if there's long sections and whatnot, I think the whole idea between this, you know, with this band and the whole imagery and everything like that, it's none of it's a struggle. Everything is kind of like an opportunity live to either attack the crowd or rile up the crowd ready for the next fucking song, and I've kind of learned that. I mean, yeah, one of the things I was going to say is like I very much feel like age and doing this for quite a long time is a defining factor as well. That just feels
how old are you now?
Well, I'm 38 coming 39. He's almost 40.
Oh wow. No, you guys are you're nipping at my heels.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can tell every other band that's in their 20s and 25s to fuck off because they ain't gonna manage us after.
I've heard this rant so many times.
Sorry, but you know, try and follow this. You're not going to follow it. I'm sorry. I don't care when I get to 60. You're not going to follow this.
I'm trying to think whether there's any like black metal bands in the UK in their like early to mid 20s that have made any kind of impact. I mean, you know, if I think about like, you know, the underground and the bands I like, I mean, there's Master's Call, there's Trivax, there's Abduction, there's a bunch of bands, but there's not.
I don't know how old the guys are in Abduction, but like one of the other bands as well. I'm sorry, but everybody seems to forget this. But Necro Ritual have been around as long as us have been playing, and Necro Ritual. People need to remember that they are the literal poison in the corner of this entire island. So you need to listen to their shit more because they are absolute savages.
Oh, yeah. We love playing with them.
Yeah, we love playing with those guys.
I'm trying to think how old Phil /AV is. I think he's
the singer
early of Abduction. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's like early to mid 30s, and obviously, you know, there's Luke from Heathen Deity. He's an old geezer like me. So
we played with those. We played with those in Leeds not long ago.
Heathen Deity. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I saw them play for the first time ever at Reaperfest, and him in particular. I mean, the whole band was good, but he in particular was.
Well, we played with those. It was the last gig we played. It was a few weeks ago. Halloween. There you go. Mm-hmm. We played in Leeds with Heathen Deity. They were headlining, and it's a great band. You know what I mean? Really cool and whatnot. All the bands on there were really good. But I think I was a bit of a menace that night because I completely embraced like my job as a frontman. Nobody else jumped off the stage and really pestered the crowd. So what I'm going to say is like there is videos out there, but I really hammered the fucking crowd. Just saying.
So let's have a wander through the tracks on this new Master's Call album, and I thought what we could do is we could do kind of a track by track breakdown and share your views on creating the song, the meaning behind the song, etc. We'll start with All Hope and Fire, the opening track, and interesting what you mentioned earlier about the intent with that song all along was for that to be the first song on the record.
The intent afterwards for it was for it to be the first song, but the actual creation of it was we went through a stage where I was working on other riffs and songs, and then Dave suddenly approached me with a shitload of the riffs for that song, and he went, "What do you think about this?" So go on.
well, with the intro as well, it's just it's one of them sounds that came to me. That's eerie building intro, and then so what can I kick into after this? Some sort of picky thrashy riff, maybe.
It was one of those weekends where we did he'd been writing riffs for a few weekends, I'd been writing riffs, I was working on another song, he was working on some stuff, and then all of a sudden he was like, what can we do with this? And coincidentally, I'd had a week where I saw, long story short, I saw something on social media that got me fucking so angry, and it was one of the usual bits of bullshit that you see. I won't go into it, but it was a very horrendous video that somebody posted up, and it got me so angry that I literally wanted the whole human race to fucking die. So that's where the vocals...
You grabbed your guitar and wrote a song.
Yeah, well, no. He'd already got the riffs ready for me.
Yeah.
So I sat there and grabbed a pen and a piece of paper, and I wrote down just, the whole of humanity needs to fucking burn and all hope in fire came out with a few tweaks over the next few weekends and a few beers. It literally just kind of set in place, and with the intro that Dave done and the slow build up, it was like, yeah, this is the first song on the album completely.
It just made the most sense to put that at the beginning. I mean, it seemed unlikely we were going to write another song with an excessive an intro as that.
Yeah, it was a good long build up and everything, and very diverse as well to show what we can do.
It's quite a punchy one as well. It sort of sets the tone.
Yeah. And there's also something very important, and again, not an uncommon theme on this podcast, but there's something very important about album sequencing and putting songs, I think, in the right order.
Yeah, the attack of the album and the embrace of the album.
And again, I think that's something that the younger generation don't do nearly as well as older guys. And again, it's because I think they're used to listening to single cuts. Whereas we grew up listening to cassettes. We grew up listening to.
Yeah. When I get an album,
for us, it's like an end-to-end experience.
There you go. When I get an album or vinyl, whatever, I'd like it's like a religious experience, especially if you really want to listen to it. It's like from start to finish. So yeah, you want to.
I mean, it's got to be a journey anyway, hasn't it? Especially with the title we used. So it doesn't sound like a bunch of.
Just thrown together songs,
a bunch of singles. It is a journey, and they are kind of thematically linked as well. So,
and bands that get that sequencing right, it's you don't always pick it up, unless you really, really think about it. You realize when you've completed the journey, like, wow, that was just absolutely incredible. But it's when you really kind of pick through how everything was put together, you go, fuck me, like there was so much thought and so much smarts that went into this. I'll tell you what record I've been thinking, I've been reflecting on from that angle recently, Master of Puppets. And specifically around the time you get to Orion, like if you think of Orion's positioning on that record as part of that journey, how that then flows out into Damage Incorporated, I mean, that is just masterful stuff.
I mean, you think about it when it's kind of like an old, it's like a fucking forgotten map that people have suddenly discovered. And it's like, okay, if you're going to create an album, and the first 2 to 3 songs, you want them to get absolutely slammed in the face. You either want a big dramatic build-up and then absolutely get punished for the first 2 or 3 songs. And then you want to delve them down. You want to go deeper into the whole story behind the album. Then you want to start rising up. And it's just an upbuild. It's like always. One of the albums I said to Dave, constantly, was like Sons of Northern Darkness by Immortal. Mm-hmm. That album, if you listen to that from start to finish and the way it's constructed, that's a film. That's a movie. That is complete. That is there.
It's a score, isn't it?
It's a literal, Beyond the North Waves and everything like that. And the whole album is just set out. It's like you read the lyrics by itself. This just needs to be a film. So, so when we were writing the songs, it's kind of strange because we were writing the songs off the excitement of having new songs and new ideas. But then all of a sudden, songs like Pathways, the very last song on the album, that was one of the oldest songs we've written. But I ended up, me and Dave were compiling riffs together, and it culminated in this song. And then all of a sudden I had this kind of massive idea for the end, this huge picking lead parts, and it was just like it went on so long that it was like it's got to be the last song.
Yeah.
And Dave had some of the more death metal shorter songs in the middle of the album, and it was like perfect. And then the rest was just a culmination between us, but the layout, it felt really right, and I hope people can see that anyway. So
it's kind of funny as well, because the 3 videos we did are the exact 3 consecutive middle songs of the album.
There you go.
In order of releasing the video.
Yeah.
So it's like we've just taken a section of the journey.
Yeah, with the videos, I like the Serpent's Rise. That was the first video, so it was a very much not mid-pace, but kind of mid-pace, not fast, not too slow, but it kind of showed a bit more variety of what we could do. Blood on the Altar was one that majority of it I wrote out and just went, what do you think of this, Dave? And we just went bang.
So, yeah.
It was the more sort of a little bit old school and whatnot, but it was a bit more punchier. And then the third one, which is coming out this Friday, Damnation's Black Winds. You're gonna lose your mind at the fucking video. You're gonna lose your mind at the video for that one. That one is a very very anthemic. The chorus is huge on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We'll get to the videos in a second, because I definitely want to talk about that. But your second song out of the gates is called Beyond the Gates.
Beyond the Gates.
There's a fucking story behind this. So anyway.
All right. Well, so over to you.
Well, okay. Beyond the Gates was I can't even remember. It's been a lot of years. That song.
It's another pretty early one, actually.
Yeah, very, very, like almost at the Spire Cranes era of writing. That was like a very early one.
I feel like that was probably 2016.
A little push, like 2 years after. But like, that's been in the bag for fucking ever. We have played that very early on live.
Too fast.
Yeah, way too. We always played the tempo way too fast live. We did play that song quite a lot on the early days, but then we had a big time with that, trying to rehash and refashion it and get it just right. And we haven't played it since, because it just hasn't dropped into the set. But now that the album's coming out, the more I listen to it as well, it's like, man, we've got to get this back into the set, because
I want to play the whole album now.
Yeah, because we managed on Beyond the Gates, we managed to capture a massive part in the chorus that literally is the Master's Call sound. And it's sort of insane for to look at it and listen to it and going, you've captured your sound.
That was probably one of the times when it occurred. That was the sound. It was that big, the parts where it does the big, heavy, thundering kind of chorus thing.
And it hasn't been through like any guitar tone or any guitar sound. It's been through sort of a culmination of everything. And it was kind of weird for us to sit there and go, it sounds like us, but not say that in the sense of just because you're in the band. It was like, have we captured something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people can liken that sort of thing to other bands. No problem. Yeah. We're not saying we've invented something completely new.
But for us personally,
it's our sound. The thing that clicked for us. It was that sound.
I was about to say, it's that moment where, as a band, you feel like you're in your element. Like this is the music that we want to make, and this is the most authentic artistic expression of what we want to put out to our audience, to the world.
Absolutely.
We had this, Jackie, on the demos for that kind of stuff. All of the demos that we had before we'd recorded. We'd fucked around and sort of obviously went through the whole turmoil of different singers, but we captured this on the very first demos when me and Dave were writing songs, and I was just like, okay, I can sing, I can write lyrics, let's just put them down, because like we've got a bunch of drum beats, we've got a bunch of bass lines and guitar lines, but they don't, or you need that last bit for them to come together as a song. And then just because we have the tools, we put them down. It was like, holy shit, we're kind of capturing what's us, you know what I mean? So it's been there quite a long time. It's just getting it to this moment now.
So next up, we've got Serpent's Kiss. The Serpent's Rise.
Not Kiss.
And that was the not Kiss. So that was the first video that you guys put out?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Who did these videos for you? Because I mean, you guys are not a band that's got, Hollywood level major label production money to play around with. But I mean, I was super impressed with the professionalism of it. Like it has there's two things about it that I like. It's got a very unique. All of both videos I've seen have a unique kind of feel to them. They've got a very, even though they're obviously different type of videos, there's kind of something distinctive about them. You're like, when you see a director's work and the director might do an action movie and he might do a horror movie, and you can tell it's let's say it's a David Fincher movie. You definitely get that distinct feel to it. But just overall, I mean, I just thought it was really slick, really polished. When you came out of the gate with that, I was like, fuck it, these guys are serious.
Well, we'll get to the details, but it was two different companies that filmed that. But all I'll say is the main ideas would come from me and Dave in the sort of the main ideas for the visuals. And I'll hold my hands up. I was a complete bastard to the people that were filming it, because it was all, the guys kept saying to me, can you storyboard this or can you write it out? And I went, no, it's all there on the day when we turn up. I'll tell you what's going to happen. But anyway, we
had two components to it. So you had the performance part, and then you had the story part with the snake and the guy eating the shitty looking food.
The first one, so
that's the Serpent's Rise. The actual main part was filmed by Sad Mango Video, which was a guy named.
They do a lot of porno, don't they?
Yeah, I'm subscribed to the website.
Yeah. you knew I was going to have to throw that in there.
You got it.
So he.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail it with my child.
Go on. It's fine,
but anyway, so Sad Mango.
It's fine.
We also filmed. He was aware of our concept, which was the story with the snake and the guy eating the food. And we wanted him to film the live parts, bearing in mind in fact, which way around did we film it?
We done the live parts first.
We did do the live bit
to Rob Fellows Studios cellar rooms in Wolverhampton, and it was all filmed. He didn't film that. We done it ourselves.
Yeah, we did that on
the feasting and the snake parts and everything else was done separately.
On the phone,
separately.
And I said, I know you've got all this nice looking footage, but can you use this as well?
Yeah, well, that was the storyline part, wasn't it? So.
Can you edit that in?
Yeah, he done a very good job.
He made it work, definitely.
Yeah. And it was like when I wasn't on camera. The difficult part about all of the music videos is, and like not to sort of blow my own trumpet, but when it's come down to the sort of visuals and the core aspect of the videos, it's the guys have trusted me with to a degree the core idea of the themes. And then it's like I could spend hours and hours and hours storyboarding and writing that out or drawing it. But, I think the guys have learned to this degree now to just go, okay, like as long as we get all of the props set and everything ready, when we turn up on the day, we'll get everything that we need. Because like
get the props ready, John will show up and do his thing.
Yeah, no. Because I feel sorry for people that are filming it, because I'm like, show me that. Let me see it again. I stood behind, it's just, you can't let somebody else you can let them dictate your artistic view, but then when it's not coming out, you have to put the hammer down. So, it's been good.
Just as a side note, speaking of arts, are you still doing tattooing at all?
No, I'm not. I'm still doing I'm doing a lot of drawing now. I'm in a better headspace and a better situation than I was. I'm doing a lot of drawing, a lot of painting, a lot of artwork for the band and stuff. I will eventually possibly sort of guest at a friend's studio, but the job I'm doing now is very comfortable and gives me a lot of time for the band, and also a lot of time for myself, mentally and creatively. So it's good.
I would imagine with the benefit of tattooing would be that you can take that on the road with you, right? If you guys are touring,
well, there's always
you land in a particular city, you can do a couple of quick
bits. It's funny you should mention that, because like I was telling Dave as well, and the guys from Pest and Braham, I did tell you, I done a few gigs with them over in the States and over in Mexico a few years back. It's in the works, but we're sorting out a US little run from Seattle down to LA.
As Master's Call.
As Master's Call.
Yeah, awesome.
But the guys, Jimmy and the guys from Pest and Braham, like from day one when I turned up last time, they were like, you need to bring your tattoo gun over, and they've still pestered me now about tattoos. So when we're
doing it this time, then are you?
I'm going to do it this time.
Okay.
He's even turned around. The guys have turned around and gone, look, I have a friend that works in a tattoo shop. So when you land in Seattle, can you just tattoo the shit out of me? And I'm like, okay. So all in the works.
That's something to do during those long drives. You can just be there in the van.
Yeah, but no. But no, Jackie, it's funny you should ask these questions, because you're asking questions that all of a sudden we're going, we talked about this. This has been talked about.
Yeah. But you guys, I mean, not to derail us too much, but I mean, both of you guys are also involved with other bands doing other music. I mean, Dave, I don't know whether you would have heard it, but on this past week's episode of Into the Necrosphere, I just heard the Black Altar single that's coming out on this Draconian elitism split. Jesus Christ! and the feedback from the Legion has similarly been like, people are like, holy shit, that's fucking insane. Like,
it took him fucking 24 years finally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not the most active band. I mean, like your last. I mean, and I said it on the news rant when I was talking about this. I was like, last album was 2008. Like, is this a rebirth for the band? But
well, what is it live? It took him. What?
They played the
first live show.
The first live show was like a couple of months ago.
In how many years?
Like 27 years.
27 years. Like, for fuck's sake, come on.
Well, dude, whatever happens with the band, I mean, that single that has been put out now is absolutely sensational. I'm laying off the beers, by the way. I've got Christmas drinks with work tomorrow night, so
come on, Jackie.
It's like the one. It's the one night where I'm obligated to drink. I can't be. What's the matter with Wednesday night drinking? All right, so let's carry on. Actually, no. Sorry. Before we go on with that, Funeral Throne. Have you? I can't remember whether you told me you were going to maybe do something else with Funeral Throne, or what are you occupying your time with outside of Master's Call?
Me personally, well, the Funeral Throne,
music wise.
Okay, well, Bear, who was a guitarist in Funeral Throne, he's doing the Hexenbrennen stuff, which is on tour with us. Is the opening act. Very black and roll, kind of great stuff. Jack, who is the bass player in Funeral Throne, he does Naught, his kind of goth band. Naught, they're getting really, really good gigs, really, going for it. Ryan, who was the drummer, he's recording his own personal stuff, but he's doing his own thing at the minute, and me, obviously, I'm Master's Call, and that's it. So with Funeral Throne, to be totally honest, it's a very open book. Unless all four of us come together, then there won't be anything else. You know what I mean? It was great while it lasted and whatnot. The book's never closed, but unless it's all four of us, because it was a very childhood thing growing up. And but unless all four of us come together, but saying that, there was riffs and things that I've had in the bag since the Funeral Throne days that have now ended up on some of the newer stuff. Not the album that's going to come out for Master's Call, but the newer stuff that we've written. We've already got songs ready.
Yeah, and some ideas have started forming.
Yeah, there's a fair few old Funeral Throne riffs that I could never find what I wanted to put them to. And as a guitarist, and a lot of people will know that you have these riffs in the bag that you think I don't want to use them, but I can't figure out where. And then all of a sudden, writing the new stuff, I went, holy shit. it's got a place.
Funnily enough, it was a riff that Bear came up with that set that song off that we were working on. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Bear, because Bear plays guitar now in Master's Call, he wrote that one riff for one of the newest songs we've got, and all of a sudden I had a guitar riff that was probably, plus 10 years old, and I went, it's got a place. It just fucking fits here, and I couldn't figure it out. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But anyway, I'll never say that with Funeral Throne.
For folks who haven't heard that yet, I urge anybody listening to this to go back and check out Threshold by Funeral Throne. I think it's a criminally overlooked record, nearly 10 years old now.
It feels way more. It feels way longer than that.
Does it?
It feels like it doesn't feel 10 years old. It feels longer than that. But thank you very much. So
yeah. All right. So next up on the record, we've got Blood on the Altar.
Yep. Well, if you want to know about the video aspect of that, we changed people to film the video. So with Blood on the Altar, we
didn't like sack the guy from
or
anything.
It was just a.
It was opportunity.
He was at his wit's end with John and decided, "Fuck it, I'm not working with those guys again."
Yeah, I'm sick of the snake and John just going on. So. No, we got a company called Sarda Videos.
It wasn't them that did the filming, but it was the guys. That was the name of the company that they work for.
Yeah, but broaden it down. Basically, it's a company called Sarda Videos, and it was a few of their members. And what they do is Indian weddings. So
naturally, black metal.
Perfect fit. Absolutely perfect fit.
No, let me explain, because Jackie's losing his mind now. So basically, like, all they do is turn up at Indian weddings. You know, you have the whole fucking huge shebang of Indian weddings and everything like that. And I've been to a lot of Indian weddings. It's all great. Next thing they know, they wanted to film a music video for a fucking black metal band. So they turned up and we had skulls, blood, everything else changed. And what I kind of expected them to kind of freak out, but I'm glad they didn't. They absolutely enjoyed themselves and lost their minds. And we got some of the best footage and the best quality, because their equipment was absolutely top of the range.
That's really good.
Because they're making a lot of money out of those Indian weddings. So my other half,
it's a good.
My other half's dad is from Punjab, so a mom's white, her dad's from Punjab. So I've been to a fair few Indian weddings myself.
I know an Indian wedding it's like 30+ grand each one, whatever.
Yeah, no, they're. I'm about to say, if you're after a second income stream or a primary income stream, get into that racket. There's a lot of money that gets spent on those things.
Well, considering that they asked for 20-30 grand plus, it could be even more. What did we pay? Was it 200?
It was more of it was like a favour.
It was a favour, but anyway, it was a favour, and we got the best. We up to this point, we got the best fucking quality footage and the lighting and everything. So hopefully people can see by when we release Blood on the Altar, because we had such a blast. And I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes, which is on the. Is it on
no,
YouTube?
I haven't.
It's on the YouTube. We have to got behind the scenes of those two videos.
Yeah, we had such a blast, and they absolutely enjoyed themselves and fully embraced the fucking madness, and it just brought out more of what we needed. So, yeah, that was the second video.
And then you said the next video, Damnation's Black Winds, which is the next track on the album.
Yeah,
that is that's the big one.
That was Bonfire Night. We recorded
some of it then.
Yeah, that's coming out this Friday. We recorded the performance side of it. I forget 3 weeks before Bonfire Night.
Weeks. Yeah, about a month or so.
Yeah, in the absolute. We recorded over at the Clee Hills in Ludlow, an abandoned quarry. Which is pretty famous because it's on a huge hill. Everybody goes up there to sort of, look at the stars and everything. It's a really nice place. But there's
this being Ludlow in Shrewsbury.
Yep, that's the one.
I know it very well. It's just up the road from where my daughter lives.
There you go. I drive around there a lot for work and stuff, but it was like I always knew this place was there. So we went up and we recorded the performance part there, because there's a lot of ruins of the old mines and the old quarries and stuff. Done a performance part, and then a few weeks to a month after that, we managed to get it back out there on Bonfire Night and record the story part
with phones again.
For that
part,
we couldn't get any actual sort of big paid for names, but Dave's partner Amy just got one of the top of the range mobile phones. So
I mean,
it all works.
Yeah, I mean, it works as well as the mobile phone's going to work at night time.
Oh, dude, I've got I have a Google Pixel 8 Pro, and it can shoot 4K at 60 frames a second. You look at the camera, and this is fucking insane. Like, this is way better than the video camera that I owned, 5 years ago.
Well, dude,
which I paid almost as much for as this phone cost me.
Well, dude, before like Dave and Amy showed me one of the pictures, she zoomed in on the moon one of the nights, and it was like literally craters and detail on the moon. And I was like, right, that's fine for the video. That's fine.
Yeah.
We ruined all the detail on the video in the end, though, with like crust and evil. And
but he warranted it. But on bonfire night, we were there with burning torches and long robes and hoods on, and there was families and dog walkers releasing.
About to say, I bet the Ludlow locals loved you, mate. I would go to the Ludlow Food Centre with my daughter. Back in the day when I was still driving up there to see her. Now she just comes down to where I live.
Yeah.
I mean, you wear a DSI t-shirt or something, and people look like they're gonna, take one of those fucking turnips and stab you to death with it.
The best was when we did the actual performance part, because when we actually came to filming the drums, obviously James is playing the drums just in this abandoned quarry while people are walking their dogs. And
there was a lot of people there was a lot of people on the far hills and the far sort of horizon line with dogs and leads just suddenly stop and look over going, what the fuck is going on over there? We had a lot of fire, and Jay, our drummer, banging away on the drums, and it was just like all these dog walkers and families just stopping going, what's going on?
The majority of the folks that listen to Into the Necrosphere are in the States, so let me just contextualize. If you think about how in your mind's eye you envision what English countryside looks like, now take it back about 50 years and then the idea of the area that we're talking about here. Mobile phone signals are non-existent. If anything, the people drive cars that are about 30 or 40 years old. Strange place. What's wild about that area is that's where Shane Embry from Napalm Death grew up.
Yeah, I know.
And he still lives there as well. Like he lives there.
Way out in there.
At school and shit like that. Can you imagine the fucking looks he gets turning up at school, looking the way that he does with his kids?
The hair and everything.
All right, so next track we've got on the record is track number 6, Into the Abyss Once More.
Okay, that was very much that came out of nowhere.
We wrote that.
Go on.
100% wrote that during the lockdowns, the pandemic lockdowns. So that one has a bit more anger and grotesque, like
death metal more. It's very death metal more.
And it was a weird time when we actually recorded that, because this was when you were still working that night job. Shouting at orcs.
I'll give you a quick story. There was a time period where we went through our singers, and it wasn't completely evident that I was going to be the singer. But anyway, I was working a job where it was a lot of night shifts, a lot of awkward hours, a lot of sort of very stressful on the body, and then
what job did you do?
Sorry,
what job were you doing?
I was working on a night job. It was a company called DX Freight, so it was very much start to 5:30 till 6 in the morning. And it was a very sort of stressful job. But I was working with a lot of guys sort of in my team and stuff, so you had to use your voice in a different way to sort of loading bays and everything, and a lot of shouting. And I'm not a bad guy, but it was just sort of make yourself heard. And I suddenly realised that me using my voice in a different way was very detrimental when I came to recording sort of extreme vocals. I done close to sort of 14, 13 years in Funeral Throne singing, and then stopped for a long time, and then done this job, and all of a sudden sort of damaged my voice. That's what I'd done. And then when it came down to recording for the Master's Call stuff, it was like, shit, I've got to almost had to retrain myself. And I really did.
Almost lost another singer.
Yeah, almost lost another singer. And I literally, he's laughing, but literally I was like, I've got to retrain. This is like, we're laughing and joking, but I was actually really concerned at that point.
Like, oh, dude, I don't think it's a joke at all. I've spoken to a lot of people, including Jason Mendonça, and when Akrakaka came back, I remember him saying to me that it was fucking difficult. Like, he would have the most, he used to have the most ferocious vocals under the sun, and he said it took him at least six to 9 months worth of practice to get to the point where he was anywhere near like reasonably happy. And you hear it with a lot of guys. Like, guys go away from the scene for a period of time, and they come back. After 3-4 years when they clearly haven't practiced, and it takes a while to get back on that bike. It's not just you don't just do it.
The thing was, it wasn't not practicing. What it was is using my voice in a different way. That was like it's a weird thing to say. In the job, I was like having to use my voice and sort of tell people to sort of get from A to B in a job, and it was a horrible job, but it was using my voice very cleanly.
Security chasing youths away from the shopping centres in Ludlow.
Yeah, there you go. It was using my voice in a way where it was very clean, so like shouting and sort of like whatnot. But like the thing was that done more damage to my voice than any extreme or brutal vocals that I've ever done. In all the years, that done more damage to my vocals. So when it was almost like I didn't realize it was doing that damage because I was in a situation where I wasn't having to use my technique or sort of singing that way because we were going through trying to find singers. And then when it got to the point where it was like, okay, right, we can't find a singer, let's do it. I was like, I suddenly realized the damage that this job had done to my voice. And then all of a sudden it was like, shit, I need to sort of build stuff back up and everything. And then out of all of those years, there's been how many gigs where I've done the most aggressive, brutal, fucking hellish vocals, and it hasn't damaged me or hasn't affected me in the slightest way. Or I get on stage and I've had 3 fags and a beer and I haven't even warmed up and I'm absolutely fine. But all of a sudden doing this one job and using my clean voice, right, in a certain way, caused more damage in that instance than it did, 16 years of fucking fags and beer and getting on stage and not warming up.
Just out of curiosity, what is your technique? Like, are you pushing from your stomach a lot? Like, where how do you typically do it?
It's nothing from the throat, nothing at all. The best way to do it is literally you get it from the chest and the diaphragm and push it downwards. If you want to get some, like, I'll be honest, in all of the years that I've done extreme vocals in whatever band, I have never walked off stage and thought, oh shit, I've damaged myself. I've always walked off stage and gone, I'm fine. He'll tell you. He's like, are you warming up? And I've had like 3 fags, fucking 5 beers. And
that's the warm-up, yeah.
That's the warm-up. Even recording vocals for the album, I've been outside here and I've had a cigarette and a beer. And he's like, right, let's go. It's never affected me. But it's always been, if you hear singers where you can hear them doing it right from the top, like right at the top here and anything down, that means that tomorrow you're going to be rough as fuck. But you just bypass that and you get it from the chest and the diaphragm, and with all the air and everything, you just project it. So, it's like, I'm not sort of, boasting, but like I've never struggled from doing anything vocally live because like all the extreme vocals have been completely fine to do. But all of a sudden in that one job, when I used my clean voice, all of a sudden I realized, shit, I've done more damage than I actually expected. So,
well, it's like, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it when you go out to the pub with your friends or something, and
shouting,
because you've got a bunch of shit music playing, and you're having to talk loudly for the whole night. It, that fucks your voice up. Like the next day, you sound like Barry White.
Dude, literally, when you use your clean voice and whatnot, it's a different muscle at the top of your throat.
Yeah,
that's what happened in this job, and when that clean muscle is affected, it's your talking voice, it's your normal speaking voice, it's your sort of your loud, up and down voice and whatnot. But then when you do extreme vocals, you have to you divert that, and you go past your throat, into your chest, into your diaphragm to project the aggression. And then all of a sudden, the aggression, the actual sort of feral edge of it wasn't there because it was damaged. So as Dave was going to say, when we came down to recording this song,
well, when we came down to recording the whole album, in fact, I noticed it when I played it all back. I was like, something's not right here.
Yeah, there was an edge. Yeah. There was an edge missing from. I was having to relearn to do it.
Yeah. There was something just not quite there, and I was going back to like trying to find previous demos of the song, going, see, that's how you sound.
From 2014 onwards, he was showing me demos.
This is how you sounded before. Why do you sound like this?
Yeah, I felt internally, in my internal self, I felt like it was still there. And then I'd record something, and he'd show me from 2014. I was like, why can I not? I've got the power there, but why can I not get that sort of crispy, sort of sharp edge? And it very much that was because of the damage done to my clean voice. The damage done to your actual voice. So when people sing in sort of extreme stuff or sing in brutal stuff, the difference is when you add your natural voice. You know what I mean? You can always tell an extreme singer the difference is because if everybody sung with brutal vocals, nobody would be able to tell the difference. But when you add your natural voice, that's where the difference is. So I damaged my natural voice, but not damaged my extreme voice. But to combine the two, all of a sudden it was very difficult.
Yeah, we noticed something.
Let me ask you something. When you, sorry for interrupting you, Dave, but I'm just while it's in my head to ask you this. When you're kind of going through that process of hearing those vocal recordings and they're not hitting the mark, like to what degree does that fuck with your confidence?
Dude, there was, to be honest, if I'm honest about it, there was when the situation arose and we were like, something's not quite right. And I'll be honest, I was recording vocals and I thought internally I can do this, but then when it was projected out, there was like there was a stop point on it. And I thought, why can I not figure out to get past that point? So I had a few weeks where I sort of rested and sort of done a few techniques to try and figure out where it was. And figuring out where it was the wrong thing because afterwards I realized it was just a healing process. That's what it was. Then when we started to approach after I'd healed up in my clean voice, ever so slightly I started to get back to it. But with this song you mentioned,
well, this is it. We probably recorded the vocals of the whole album probably about 3 times. We did it once, took a break, did it again, took a break, did it again.
But I did say to you though that we recorded the entire album once, and it was like that's okay, but something was missing. The next time I recorded the whole thing, it was not quite right.
It was getting there, but it was a little bit of struggle.
Yeah, but then when I finally realised that I'd healed up and I was back to where I needed to, we recorded the entire album in 2 days?
It was pretty much 2 days. We were doing
literally
it
2 days,
like much more spaced out originally.
Yeah, so 2 days. So I literally felt like I've got it. I'm back, and even on the album. If you compare the album, well, you're not going to be able to because from the album to the new stuff, right? If you when the new stuff's out after the album, if you compare that, you will hear like a massive jump in the sharpness and the feralness. But when I got back to feeling comfortable, when we recorded the vocals, it was literally 2 days for all the songs done.
But going back to Into the Abyss once more, here was the thing. There were parts of that song where we actually used the bad vocals.
And they're very horrible, nasty vocals. I was struggling.
Because that song had more of a grotesque and harsh...
Death metal, yeah.
But there were parts where we actually kept in the struggling...
The pain. It was almost like, is it Autopsy with the drummer with the...
Yeah.
It was his kind of like... You even said that. It was like this vibe of like, I can feel the pain in the voice.
It was like... sick. Like,
yeah, we're like, use that.
Especially on the very ending, it was like it wasn't. It's still good. It was just when we compared
the pain.
When we compared that version to the better
clean,
version, it was like
one.
I actually preferred.
And this was him saying it when I recorded the actual, like, you know, like I'm fucking nailed it. Then he come back to me and went, "I prefer the actual
professional now.
I prefer the painful version of that." And I was like,
I thought you were about to tell me at one point you turned to Dave and said, "Dave, I think you might have to step up and do vocals for the band from now on."
No,
that would be pain.
No, we
So we wrap up then with kind of the most epic song on the record, Pathways. Tell me a bit about this one.
Pathways came from, that was another early, it was fragmented kind of riffs and stuff, and we managed to culminate it over the years and whatnot with lyrics and things like that. But there was a lot of riffs in there that when I was playing live for the band, there was a lot of riffs that sort of inspired me. Keep It Callous in kind of like the rhythmical left-hand stuff in the chorus and whatnot. And then I can't even tell you, I can't explain how the sort of the tail end of the song came about. It just, one day, it just came out.
That's what happens, man.
That's what happens. Yeah. And it was one of the biggest kind of, like, you know, when Dave put his solo stuff on top of it and when we harmonised as guitar players, all of a sudden it was there. And I don't know where it came from, but I think that's one of the best things when you don't know where it came from, and then one day you sit there and you have this inspiration for songs and a riff, and then all of a sudden you just suddenly created something that you didn't see coming.
And technically that ending was a long time in the making, because we already had a portion of that already done back at the very beginning of the, probably, what was it, 2015, 14, probably, something like that. Yeah. But then when it actually came to the recording part, we wanted it to go on a bit longer. So it was kind of weird resuming that lead like several years later.
Well, you did, though. There was a point where I kept saying to Dave, it was like, we need to extend the tail end of this. You need to go off in a tangent of a solo, and you need to sort of, as the volume fades out on this song, there needs to be something where you just keep keep to it. And there was this one point on a Saturday night where we had a load of beers, and I said, right, you just record a solo. You just fucking go for it. And I went outside for a cigarette and a beer, came back in halfway through as he was recording this tail end. He was dive bombing to shit on the whammy bar. He was dragging the fucking notes through the fucking...
Just as it's fading out, you just hear it just climb out again.
Just as he was fading out. I opened the door and I went, that is fucking perfect. They used that. And that was it. That was literally, you know, and then with the vocals and stuff, and the with the lyrics, I wrote all the lyrics for that song, and I can't remember how they sort of come about. It was just a feeling early on that something about the music of that track was kind of some pathway, was kind of some sort of, you know, storyboard through what I was feeling for all of the other tracks we writ, and then it just ended up the last song. So yeah, it was good.
I mean, we already knew.
We knew musically. We knew that would be the last song.
We tried a bunch of endings at one point. We tried some definite, solid endings.
That was more live, wasn't it?
I mean, we did it live, and we tried recording different versions of it, but. For the album, we just thought, let's extend it.
Yeah, it needed a fade off and whatnot, and just drag those pinch harmonics and everything through the fade off.
It was funny with sort of continuing a solo you wrote like several years before.
Oh man, yeah, I'd written lead parts and everything, and he'd harmonised with them, and they've been sat there for fucking ever, and it was like, right,
now we got to finish the album.
Now we got to finish it. So yeah.
So, guys, I mean, first of all, again, congratulations, because it's a fantastic record. I'm so glad that that this band's finally got a full length album out, and for people that weren't listening to the podcast in 2019 when I was talking about it a lot, now they might go, hey, he actually wasn't making the band up.
No, I wasn't talking shit. It's coming.
No. What are the plans for 2024?
Oh, dude, look, have you not seen the Facebook? We've literally got to finish the fucking gigs this year. We got a European tour with Power from Hell in February, like late January, February. We have potentially a few other things planned for that, but we're going to be away in Europe for almost 3 weeks. The album will be out. If we can do one more video for the album, I think there's a couple of songs that we're going to do one more video for. And then what?
Might as well just video the whole album at this point.
You will, might as well. Might as well. We've talked about that. We will ride the fucking lightning of this album.
That's like Metallica level of.
Yeah, well, we've got to. We'll ride the lightning of this album, and then we've already got sort of 3 or 4 songs. More likely 4 to 5. 3 or 4. Written down for the new stuff, and the new stuff is
we got ideas, but
Jackie,
let's not say it'll be out soon, because
look, I can't tell you when Jackie. I can't tell you when it's going to be out, right? The new stuff, but after the album, there's one song in particular that if you like Paradise Lost, you're going to shit the bed with this one.
Oh.
That's a very cryptic thing to say.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a nice teaser to throw out there.
There you go.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very, very much for your time. And like I said, well done and congratulations on the new album. And we will do this again at some point soon.
Thank you very much. And in person, the next one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm well up for that.
Thank you very much.
I might need to head up to Shropshire Way and come and see you guys there.
Anyway,
we can invade one of those ancient pubs that they have over there.
Jackie, if it's in person, we'll get the beers. We'll see you.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
That was the opening track of the Master's Call debut, A Journey for the Damned. The song is called All Hope in Fire, and a big thanks and a shout out to John and Dave for their time. Great to hear this record finally seeing the light of day. You can pick it up on Fireflash Records. I'll post a link to their Bandcamp in the description to the podcast. A definite contender for that album of the year list. The vaunted top 30 of 2023, and a lot of debuts making their way onto that onto my list this year. So you're going to find out who made the cut and who didn't when I kick back off in January. But for now, make sure you check out that Master's Call record. It is absolutely sensational. If you like that song, you're going to like the rest of it. Right now, though, if you've ever used the phrase on fleek unsarcastically, it's time for you to get to stepping, because this is the weekly news rant.
A roundabout for judgment. And hang them where the world can see.
As always, Metal Storm is where we get shit kicked off, and the first headline grabbing my attention, Phobocosm have dropped a new track. It says here, before their new studio record, Foreordained, hits the streets on December the 8th, death metalers Phobocosm offering listening another new track in preview called Revival. I have heard these guys previously and not spent a huge amount of time with them, but everything I've heard by the band is very good. They're from Montreal, which obviously we know is a hotbed of death metal talent in particular. So let's hear what this sounds like. Fuck me, we are getting this week started off on a very, very high note. Like I said, I've not spent an extended period of, spent an extended period of time with Phobocosm, but that is going to change because that song is fucking fantastic. We've listened to 68 seconds so far, and I have literally loved every single second of it, which is, I think, why I'm sounding so, why I stammered over my words earlier. I was speechless. You've kind of got that atonal, dissonant, Bloodhouse Nord, Deathspell Omega vibe, but with this real underpinning of groove. When you, if they do happen to repeat the main riff that we heard at the very beginning, when we go back to listening to the song, pay attention to that like palm muted chug that guitarist adds in there. It just sounds, it adds so much muscle and so much heft to what you're hearing there. And then you have a vocalist that sounds like he is channeling Ross Dolan in the best possible way. This just has all the makings of yet another exhibit in the case against putting out an album of the year list before the actual end of the year. And I understand the argument about early access to music. I have early access to a ton of music too. It just so happens there's too much stuff that comes out, and when I've put out albums of the year lists previously, in late November or early December, I always find myself in January discovering stuff that I go, God damn it, I should have put that on my list. So that's just a side rant, and I'm gonna zip it on that front now because we're gonna go back to listening to the song. So far, this is absolutely fucking sensational. just so fucking heavy. It is. It kind of has almost, as far as heaviness is concerned, it's like on a par with Nightmare. But yeah, that is just brilliant. There's nothing for me to fault in that. The production is amazing. The performances are exceptional. Every single instrument, every single channel of the recording is used to maximum and devastating effect. I absolutely cannot wait to hear the rest of this. This is fucking brilliant. And like I said, proof once again, as if further proof was required, that you wait until the end of the year for your albums of the year list. All right, let's continue. Primordial are streaming a previously unreleased demo song. It says here Primordial have recently shared a previously unreleased demo track recorded in early November 1991. This 10-minute long music piece is one of the first 2 original songs the band wrote more than 3 decades ago. I actually did see that Alan Averill posted this on his YouTube channel, but I didn't listen to it because I figured I would save it for the news rant. How familiar am I with the very early stuff by Primordial? I mean, I know their discography relatively well. The very early stuff I liked. I mean, I certainly know their debut record, but yeah, curious to hear what the demo sounds like. So let's get on with it. So it says here, vocalist Alan Averill comments, these are the first 2 original songs we wrote and recorded back in late 1991. We were finding our feet as musicians, and our style was far from established. They were intended to be released as a demo track, but we shelved them. Musically, perhaps they are nothing special and could have fitted onto the B-side of any trading tape back then, but now, well over 3 decades later, they represent an interesting curio, a first step into the underground, and set us writing our first chapter. Take them for what they are, a raw, crude rehearsal recorded through one mic into one channel of an old battered stereo that survives on an old cassette tape in someone's attic. To some, that spells an instant masterpiece. It also ups your cult credentials if most of what you listen to was recorded in similar fashion. But yeah, it's interesting hearing this, and you compare this to where Greater Men Have Fallen or Redemption at the Puritan's Hand, or how it ends, and they have certainly traveled the ways, have the gentlemen from Primordial. And by the way, just as I mentioned that, what a year it has been on this podcast when it comes to guests. I was thinking about it again the other day. I mean, obviously there's been a couple of repeat guests that have come on, and arguably I think their second visits or their third visits to the show have been even better than the ones that we had recorded previously. I've had some great face-to-face conversations, but definitely one of my favorites has been that last Alan Averill appearance. And, hopefully, again, we're going to be able to do one again in 2024. But he's such a great guy, such a fascinating dude, so clever, very, very measured, very balanced. I listened to his take on the riots that occurred in Dublin last week on his podcast. And, I just think he handled that with so much class, intelligence, balance, and sensitivity. I don't think that, I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it as well as he did. The guy is really eloquent, and, I tip my hat to him, both as a podcaster and a musician. And as a side note, I'm just having a scan on Metal Archives as we speak. How It Ends only has 64% as its average review rating. that is a disgrace, because that album, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, let us move on. Lacrimosa share Liebe über Leben official video. I don't think we're going to put ourselves through listening to that, nor will we put ourselves through the misery of listening to an Italian power metal force called Frozen Crown. There must be something worth checking out. While we scan through this, just a reminder to all of you, when we talk about 2024, Fortress Festival have been releasing some very, very spicy names indeed for their lineup. Now, that's going to be taking place in June of next year. I'll confirm the date in just a second whilst we're listening to some music. But just to tell you all, I will be there. It's going to be taking place in Scarborough. And hopefully I get to meet a fair few of you in person. I'm also going to be doing a bunch of in-person interviews when I'm there as well. And then there are plans afoot for myself and my brother Cheyenne to attend a certain festival in Norway. That is going to largely depend on the situation with my passport. Not that I'm some, illegal ne'er-do-well that is sponging off the UK government, but I've actually finally relented and decided to pay the £2,500 that it is going to cost me to get my full British citizenship and progress on, upgrade from being, what's the phrase? On indefinite leave to remain. So right now I can come and go as I please. I can live here as long as I want. I've lived here for over 20 years now, but I do have to queue in the foreigners line whenever I come back from South Africa, which can be a bit of a pain. Anyway, enough nonsense. Let's get back to some music. Blood Red Throne have debuted a new single. Tepid, I think, was my response to the last one that they put out, but let's hear if they've done any better on the second one. It says here to promote their upcoming studio release, Nonagon, due out on January the 26th via Soul Seller Records. Blood Red Throne premiere the second advanced single called Tempest Sculptor. Let's check it out. So the first probably 45 seconds of that song I could pretty much take or leave very, very easily. It's and by the way, excuse me, I will have edited the worst of it out, but I just had a bit of a coughing fit for some reason, and not because of how overwhelmed I was by the song. But yeah, like I said, the first 45 seconds of that song I could pretty much take or leave. It was very nondescript, same problems as they had with the previous single, where it just sounds like the kind of death metal you've heard a million times, and death metal that in my view, is very redundant in 2023, especially when you compare it to the likes of Phobocosm that we just heard earlier. But then they do kind of redeem themselves a little bit. When that mid-tempo groove kicks in, it actually becomes relatively interesting. Again, nothing that you haven't heard before, and frankly, nothing that you haven't heard bands do better previously, but still pleasant to listen to. And sometimes, that's what folks are in the mood for. You could use a film analogy, and sometimes people will use the analogy of, sometimes I'm in the mood for big budget action, sometimes I'm in the mood for brain food. When it comes to big budget action, I'm actually rarely in the mood for it. And I think that's probably why, when it comes to this, am I ever going to go back and listen to Blood Red Throne? Or will I bother to listen to Nonagon when it comes out on January 26th? Very probably not. But as I said, it's not terrible, and I can see where this may find an audience. At least I should say it's not terrible so far. So I'd give that one half a thumbs up. Not terrible, not amazing. That groovy bit, I do like that very much. By the way, one of the Legion pointed out to me the other day on Instagram that the significance of January the 26th is not simply that it is Jason Mendonça of Acrococker's birthday, but it is also Australia Day. So I'm sure that's why so many black and death metal bands have concentrated their creative efforts with the sole purpose of releasing a record on that day. If anything, frankly, the Australian metal scene deserves to be paid tribute to. I mean, we've said it many times before, but the sheer volume of just genius music coming out of that country is mind-blowing to me. Geordie have completed songs for their next studio album. It says here, Portuguese black metal masters Geordie recently shared news that they have concluded the composition process of the new tunes for their next full-length installment and are now ready to hit the recording studio. More info in due time. They are also going to be at Fortress Festival, so again, a band that I could potentially speak to in person. When I had the gentleman from Geordie on the podcast last time, that was a fun episode, and equally, it was an episode that got a lot of attention and still seems to get a lot of attention. Cruciamentum are streaming their upcoming full-length in full, it says here. A lot of hype around this. It says here, and when I say ahead of tomorrow, I'm recording this on the 27th. This was actually posted on the 23rd. So whoever's updating the news on Metal Storm has been, maybe they're celebrating Thanksgiving or they've taken the weekend off. But either way, it says here, ahead of the official release of their Obsidian Refractions long player British death metal ensemble, Cruciamentum offer in listening the entire effort via a YouTube player. We can give it a quick listen. I have actually heard this album and I do like it. Am I as excited about it as some of the Legion? No, but that may very well change at some point in the very near future. There's definitely a very English-sounding vibe to those riffs. Like there's almost a bit of a hint, a whiff of My Dying Bride there. But I mean, rest assured, the rest of the album does actually pick up. It picks up the pace a little bit. So if you don't like slow, doomy death metal like that, you know, don't let that clip that we just listened to put you off. It does actually get a little faster later on. Just a quick one, by the way. So I mentioned Fortress Festival. So the confirmed date. Where the fuck is it now? I had it earlier. It is on the 1st of June 2024. It's going to be taking place in Scarborough in the UK, and that lineup, like I said, is very spicy. So Miss Tierming is going to be there, Wolves in the Throne Room will be there, Gairia is going to play, we have got Blood Countess, we've got Triptychon, so I'm going to be sure to pack the old Weber in the back of the car and offer to grill Thomas Gabriel Fisher a steak. We also have Ralph and the Gentleman from Ultha coming back, which I will be super excited about. That Ultha show this year. Definitely probably the best show I've seen in 2023. Unbelievable. We've got Black Braid playing. We've got Panopticon playing. So, yeah, it's going to be a fucking crazy weekend. Lamp of Murmur as well. So if you are going to be there, you will see me there, and hopefully we can hang. It was great actually to hang with a couple of the Legion at Reaperfest earlier this year as well. So always interesting, like when you have done this for a while, and you know, you come across folks that have been listening to the podcast for a long time. I think I've mentioned this before. They'll talk to you with this familiarity. It's not wrong of them to speak. You know, to speak to you like that, but you sometimes have to remind yourself, like, these people listen to you speak, or listen to me speak, for upwards of 2.5 hours to 3 hours every single week. So they know me better than quite a lot of people who, you know, portain to be my friends. So anyway, it says here, Vredehammer are back with a new single called The Joker. Norway's Vredehammer returned with a new music piece, The Joker, their first one since the Viperous album from 2020. Recordings took place at Per Vala's home and blah, 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 Indie Recording Studios and Black Valley Studio, mixed and mastered by Jacob Hansen Studios. The band's main man, Per Vala, comments, The Joker is Vredehammer's ode to the 90s Swedish death metal scene, heavy guitar riffs, groovy drum parts, and, of course, skank beats. There is a Bandcamp link there, so we're going to head over to YouTube and listen to it on there. I really did enjoy that Viperous album back when it was released. And as a matter of fact, I think, if memory serves me correctly, it did actually make the top 20, because I only did a top 20 that year, the top 20 of 2020. So curious to hear what these guys have gotten up to next. So without further ado... That is another very strong contender for a top-notch from yours truly. That is fucking excellent. I love the fact that they're paying tribute to a specific scene, but they're doing it very much in their own style. Like, you can still hear a link to Viperous on what they're doing. The riffs have a, you know, as much as they may be paying tribute to Sweden, there's a definite Norwegian flavor to the way that they are performing that. And then I notice that Nils Fellstrom, aka Dominator, is playing drums, which is also fucking cool. For those of you ignoramuses that don't know who Dominator has played for, I mean, it really is a who's who of extreme metal. He's played for Dark Funeral, he's played for Norgevel, he played on one of my favorite and, in my view, most criminally underrated bands ever, The Wretched End. And The Wretched End, of course, also features Samoth of, or formerly of Emperor. Actually, not formerly of Emperor, he's still with Emperor. And like I said last week, I have a very strong suspicion that that new solo single that we heard by Ishon may potentially have been written for Emperor. I speak under correction, of course. I don't know. I'm not personal friends with these guys. But it's just my gut that tells me. And who knows, perhaps one day I'll be proven correct. In the meantime, this is fucking excellent. And I'm going to listen to 60 seconds more of it. That is fucking magnificent. Every single thing here just works. Great vocals, that riff is killer, the groove is fucking filthy, nasty, scuzzy, the drums, just every single thing works. It's brilliant, absolutely fucking brilliant. I love this album cover as well, the single cover. I don't know whether that's going to turn into the album cover. But top marks for Vredehammer. If that's going to be the sequel, the successor to Viperous, then you can pretty much you can write it down, you can tattoo it on your arm if you want to. That is going to be a front runner for making the top 30 of 2024 without a fucking shadow of a doubt. That is brilliant. Power from Hell touring Europe next February. Of course, the gentleman from Master's Call mentioned that when we spoke to them. It says here Brazil metal band, they're not power metal. Brazil metal band Power from Hell unveiled dates of the Shadows Devouring Light European tour in February 2024. Support on all shows will come from UK's Master's Call. Good opportunity for them, I think. Yeah, man, like I said at the very beginning of the podcast, I am really happy for those two, especially for John, that this album is finally done. People can hear it. It sounds as good as what it's ended up sounding. Glad to see that the dude has managed to surface. I was kind of fucking around there at the beginning of the conversation, but he did disappear off the face of the earth for a while. So I was starting to grow concerned for the young man's health and for the young man's safety. But yeah, glad to see he's alive and well, and very glad to hear that Master's Call has turned in such a fucking strong debut. Like I said, man, what a year for debuts it's been. And in some cases, it's not even necessarily debuts. It's just bands that kind of finally released or got to that point where they put out a definitive record. And I should mention, in the same breath as I'm talking about Master's Call, I should mention Trivax as well, because Cheyenne used to do vocals for them. He did vocals on their demo. That last Trivax record, I was listening to it last week. Absolute magnificence. I know he's my friend. I know I'm maybe slightly biased, but a lot of these folks, and I'm saying this now because it's going to come up when I do my top 30 of 2023. A lot of these folks I became friends with after initially being interested in their music. Now, does it enhance my enjoyment of their music that I actually like them as human beings? Absolutely. But I still wouldn't have become friends with them initially. Like, I wouldn't have invited them to the podcast if there weren't that interest in their music. And then later on, obviously, we discovered that we've got things in common, etc., etc. So that's true of the guys from Werewolves. It's true of a great many people that I've had on the show. But for me, I am just so unbelievably happy for my friend that he has put out a record as strong as Trivax. It's an album that, I mean, the previous Trivax record was good, but this new one just has so much more of his personality coming to the fore. It's such an intensely personal record to him, especially when you know him. Yeah, I just think it's a triumph across the board. And if you haven't listened to it, make sure that you change that shit. Sepultura planning a 40th anniversary celebration live record. That's going to have to be something pretty special, because live records, for the most part, sometimes they absolutely nail them. Like Live at Budokan by SOD, genius. But yeah, for the most part, especially nowadays, for some reason, it just doesn't really do much for me. The other thing is, I have to say, as much as I've been a bit of an apologist for Sepultura, and I like Derek Green very much, but those Morbid Visions, Bestial, Bestial Devastation re-recordings, I was about to say Bestial Warlust, Bestial Devastations re-recordings, fuck me, those are undeniable. That is the best way, that's the only way to describe them. They are undeniable. Folks, it feels to me like the pickings are slim, but actually I say that Farsot have launched a video for a new song called Nausea. Now, I've spoken before about Farsot because there was a band that put out something a couple of months ago called Farsot, and I was like, yeah, man, Farsot, who gives a fuck? But Farsot, great band, hopefully they're going to be doing something pretty soon. That has now finally happened. So it says here, German avant-garde black metal outfit Farsot unveiled the first single or video for the song Nausea. The latter appears on the band's next album, Life Promised Death, which comes out on February 16th, 2024 through Prophecy Productions. I'm not going to say any more. Let's hear what it sounds like. Well, they may have kept us waiting for fucking 7 years to bring out this record, but it definitely sounds like they're not going to disappoint. Their last album was called Failure. It came out in 2017. It is extraordinary. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It is absolutely exquisite, and you need to check it out if you haven't done so already. Exceptionally well recorded, well written, and very well played black metal. And this, I mean, it just sounds like it's right up my street. You know, it's got enough venom to sound dangerous, to sound edgy, but there's an awful lot going on here under the surface, yeah, I love it. First impressions, extremely positive. those layers that they keep adding in. Like they had those keys, then they had that acoustic guitar, then they have that just slight tweak to the melody. Yeah, that is fucking fantastic. That is the third top notch that I'm awarding on this week's installment of the News Rant. Just as a side note, I saw one of the actors on that music video strutting around with his bull terrier. I hope they didn't film that in the UK, because at the end of this year, XL bullies become illegal, which is just another example of our government being completely and utterly fucking useless. No such thing as a bad dog, in my opinion. Only owners that need to be tossed into the gulags. I think we are just about done with this, my friends. We'll listen to one more song. Vargov have got a new album out this December. It says here, symphonic black metal ensemble from Finland, Vargrov, sorry, will put out their next studio record, The Nighthold, on the 15th of December 2023 via Werewolf Records. Alongside Unveiled Details, stream now Chalice of Silver and Blood track as a preview of the oncoming new outing. The Nighthold was recorded at Studio Metallopane during summer-autumn of 2022, blah, blah, blah. Never heard of Vargrov before, but we're about to change that right now. I can't decide whether I dislike those keyboards or whether they actually fucking cool. Because, I was thinking, so they said symphonic black metal, and I'm generally speaking not a fan of too much focus on actual symphonies. Like, I don't want actual symphonies in a black metal band. Once or twice I've heard it work, but for the most part, it's just a bit too much. It's too nice, it's too polished, it's too wholesome. So I like the old style with the keyboards, and obviously that's very much a throwback to that. But I don't know whether it's taking me out of the music or whether it's something that's going to grow on me. Honestly, my gut says it may be something that grows on me, to be honest. I've said this many times before, if sometimes these reactions sound like I'm just babbling incoherently, it's because I am literally hearing the shit for the first time. That's the whole point of doing it the way that I do it is, this is the first reaction that you hear me have for any music. So anything that I listen to on here. And if that's not the case, I'll typically tell you. But, yeah. As I said, I feel like those keyboards could be something that grows on me. The song itself is actually not too bad. And I like the production on the guitars. It kind of almost has a slightly more muscly In the Nightside Eclipse kind of vibe to it. But anyway, let's get back to it.
the longer that's gone on, the more I've enjoyed it. So Vargrov gets not maybe a top-notch, but it does get a thumbs up for me. Speaking of something that gets the opposite of a top-notch for me is the news about Geordie Walker of Killing Joke. I was wondering whether I was thinking, should I talk about it now or should I wait until the end of the podcast? Let's talk about it now. The first headline over on Blabbermouth is that Killing Joke's Martin Youth Glover pays tribute to Kevin Geordie Walker. No man was cooler than him. Killing Joke co-founder Martin Youth Glover has paid a tribute to the band's guitarist Kevin Geordie Walker, who died on Sunday, November the 26th in Prague, Czech Republic, after suffering a massive stroke. He was 64 years old. Earlier today, Youth took to his social media to write, "I'm still in shock and it's hard to believe that he's no longer with us. Always seemed indestructible to me. Bullets bounced off him. He was truly destined to be. No man was cooler than Geordie, one of the very best and most influential guitarists ever. He was like Lee Van Cleef meets Terry Thomas via Noel Coward. Very charming, inscrutable and gracious, with a gentle, effortless touch, both on guitar and making you feel welcome, that is. When he wasn't shredding you with his razor-sharp, articulate shrapnel. He was a virtuoso gunslinger, both with his music and verbosity. He wouldn't hesitate to throw his flick knife into the mixing desk and demand a 2-bar count, not 4 for his drop-in, which always managed to focus the engineer's attention. He understood the chemistry was the rub, and that's actually where the magic and soul was in the conflict. He was my teacher, partner, and at times a terrifying foe. I'm eternally grateful for the stars colliding that brought our fates together. He's now flying high with the Valkyries, on his way to the halls of Valhalla, where his seat at the table of legends is most certainly assured. He defined a generation or 3 with his genius." I think if I go on any more, then old Jackson might get a little bit emotional here. Just from my side, you guys know from listening to this podcast how many times I've spoken about Killing Joke, you know, and their music. I think that Geordie's guitaring. Let me tell a story about that somebody shared with me. So Jason Mendonça, a couple of years ago, I was having dinner at his house, and we were talking about various things. And one of the things that we were talking about is Killing Joke. And he said to me, you know, at one point, you know, you're a fan of Corazon. I'm like, yes, of course, one of my favorite albums of all time. He said that whole entire record, my style was almost directly influenced for every single song that I wrote for that album by Geordie of Killing Joke. And when I heard that, it just suddenly made so much sense, because Geordie has this way of playing in kind of a very almost loose fashion. Like he you know, he's not chugging, he's not palm muting all the time. He's got a way of creating rhythm in chaos, or had a way of creating rhythm in chaos. And, you know, I can try and say something that will do the man justice. I will absolutely just fail dismally. All I will say is the guy is a extraordinary talent, or was an extraordinary talent. One of the most unique players in all of music, not just heavy music, not post-punk, nothing. You can take every music genre on the face of the planet. You will be hard-pressed. You'd have to travel a long, long way to find somebody that had a more distinct style and was more unique than this guy. And I think it's underestimated how many people he influenced. His music means an awful lot to me personally. I've mentioned before, you know, my daughter, when she was young, she and I bonded very much over Killing Joke. I'm very sorry I'm never going to have the opportunity to take her to see Killing Joke as they should be seen, which is with Geordie on guitar. I highly doubt they're going to be playing live again without him in any case. But yeah, just from my side, I know it counts for naught, because I'm not sure. Well, I'm extremely confident that none of his family or friends would listen to Into the Necrosphere. But, you know, to share amongst the Legion, I think this is a guy whose legacy is going to outlast us all. Like I said on Instagram the other day. And, you know, I, for one, am you know, very, very sorry that he's passed away. 64, you know, you've had a reasonable innings, but it's probably a good 2 decades too soon. And you know, I'm glad that he went out musically on a high, because that last EP that Killing Joke put out, the Lords of Chaos single, I mean, again, you can go back and check the episode where I heard that on the news rant for the first time. I absolutely loved it. So it'll be interesting to see how many people start to talk more about him and about his legacy and about Killing Joke over the, you know, coming weeks and months.
But you know, this to me is a loss of Pete Steele proportions. You know, in that, like I said, we've lost such a dynamic and interesting and unique voice and character in the scene of ours. You know, and I know he wasn't necessarily part of the black metal or the death metal scene, but again, you know, you need only look at that Amenta covers album or EP that just came out now. They're covering Killing Joke on there. There's very, very many guys in the most extreme realms of music that will cite Killing Joke as a direct influence. I was talking offline with Swartalv about it as well. He's a massive fan. I just think if you're a fan of music generally, Killing Joke is one of those bands where they breathe that rarefied air where it doesn't matter what style of music you listen to, you just know when you hear it, you're listening to something that is absolutely extraordinary. I would argue, you know, Queens of the Stone Age is probably there as well. You know, again, and I think that fact is underlined by the fact that I've had so many black metal guys on here that, you know, you start talking to them about Queens of the Stone Age, and it's like, yeah, Songs for the Deaf, one of the best ever. It's not a lot of bands that you can say that about. It's not a lot of bands that you can say, no matter the style of music that somebody's preference is, when they hear that particular band, they know they're hearing something great. You know, there's good bands for their style, but there's very few bands that transcend their genre, and Killing Joke transcended their genre without a shadow of a doubt. So anyway, I'm gonna pause on that note as far as Killing Joke is concerned. Like I said, if I spoke any more, I'd probably get a little bit emotional. But anyways, it was very sad news. And I hope that, you know, I'm sending as much positive vibes as I'm sure everybody who listens to Killing Joke and knows Killing Joke, you know, would be doing to Geordie's friends and his family. Anyway, let's move on. Metallica to perform in Saudi Arabia for the first time ever. I mean, is there a country that they've not covered now? I think they've pretty much done... They've done Antarctica. They've done just about everywhere. As far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, I wonder how they would take to... I wonder how they would take to a metal band. I'm just thinking out loud now, knowing what Cheyenne has told me about his experience in Iran. And I know it's two very different countries, but Saudi is still pretty... They're still pretty conservative. Anyway, that city that they're building in the desert, the Line Neom, I think they're calling it. Not sure that would be my vibe to live in. It looks very interesting, and it looks cool. I mean, it looks incredibly well designed. Not sure I would want to live there. Anyways, let's move on. Striper's Michael Sweet says some of his friends called him a moron for voting for Trump. I think many of his friends probably called him a moron for several other reasons as well. I Am, featuring Typo Negative and Crowbar members, have released their new single. It's called Cryptomnesia. I have actually heard this, but we are going to listen to it again because it is Typo Negative and Crowbar, so therefore everyone must hear it. I'm not going to say any more. I'm just going to go ahead and play it right now. That, by the way, is another gentleman that I would love to have on the podcast. I've obviously had Johnny Kelly on. I've had Kirk Winstein on. I would love to have Kenny Hickey on the show. And who knows? Maybe I can make that happen in 2024. I absolutely love that song. Love it. It might not be to everybody's taste. I think it's a lot better. I mean, from the off, I think it's a lot better than the Dreams Always Die with the Sun single that they put out. In part because, as you will discover whilst we when we progress through the song, they do actually have Kirk doing some vocals on there, which to me, like when we listen to Dreams Always Die with the Sun, that to me was the big missed opportunity. If you have somebody that's got Kirk's talent in your band, you goddamn well use him. That being said, Kenny sounds fantastic on there. I love the riff. I love every single thing about the song. And I think that if this is the direction of the album, that it has the potential to be something very special. So let's get back to it. Unfortunately, those are the only two lines I think that Kirk sings on the song, but fuck me when he does. I mean, that is just a total goosebumps moment, in my opinion. He sounds fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Kenny sounds great too. The song is excellent, like I said. I do think it genuinely has the potential to be something very special. Yeah, I'm still very adamant about the fact that when you've got Kirk in your band, he needs to sing. Folks, I tell you what, I think on that note, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up on a positive. It has been a pleasure, as always, talking to you guys for 53 minutes and 6 seconds now. And I just want to say it's been a pretty rough couple of weeks for yours truly. This news rant, the whole podcast, generally speaking, is a bit of an outlet for me, and I really love it. And I've really come to dig into each episode with a newfound appreciation over the last couple of episodes. I'm not sure if any of it has come across, but you know, and it's nothing massively serious. It's just been, you know, work stress, you know, the turmoils and the stresses of the end of another fucking crazy year. I am certainly looking forward to my holiday. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention this podcast has been a bit of an oasis for me, especially over the course of the last couple of weeks. And, you know, the fact that there are so many of you that listen to it and appreciate it and, you know, take the time to message me and say thank you. You know, I know I have shown my gratitude for it in the past, but, you know, I just want to say once again how grateful I am and how appreciative and how humbled I am by that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that. And like I said, that is the news rant done for this week. And that leaves us officially with one more episode to go until I close the book on 2023. My guest is due to be, I may as well share it. My guest is due to be Sam Loyens of Akrakoka, the Antichrist Imperium, and various other musical concerns. Hopefully that's going to happen. I've got a couple of potential fallbacks if it doesn't, but yeah, hopefully that's going to go ahead and happen as planned. But I'm looking forward to next week. I hope you guys are too. There is only one band I could possibly have played out with this week, and I'm going to play one of my favorite songs by them. Maybe not the most popular choice, but I don't give a fuck. The song is Implosion. The band is Killing Joke. Wherever it is that you are, whatever it is that you're doing, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you bad motherfuckers again next week.